All right, hey, it's Rob. Good morning, and just happened to read an article last night that someone sent to me, which mentioned that even more unreleased Michael Jackson music that you'll never be able to hear was discovered this time in a storage locker somewhere in Southern California. There's a guy who's actually a retired highway patrol officer who now calls himself a treasure hunter. And he bought a storage unit, which apparently belonged to Brian Loren. And it had a treasure trove of unreleased Michael Jackson music. He contacted the estate to let them know. The estate said, "We don't have any interest in this." Very surprising that they wouldn't want to keep everything contained, whether they want to release it or not. You'd think at least they would want to, have possession of it. It's crazy that somehow Brian Loren let, the rent lapse on a storage unit that contains stuff like this, because this stuff is very valuable. Now, you can't release this music, you have no rights to it, and you can't do anything with it. You can certainly put it up for auction, and that is what is going to happen. So, what did he find? And, what music was on there? Well, we're going to get into that right now. Once again, I always do the little disclaimer. My name's Rob Disner. I did work at the studio where Michael Jackson recorded Dangerous. I was a studio runner, not important to the process at all, but I do like to keep up with the latest, especially things related to the Dangerous project. I've done a video about Brian Loren, explained Michael's history with Brian and what happened during the Dangerous project. And basically, if you're not familiar with Brian Loren, he was one of the producers. He was a musician, a songwriter, and he worked with Michael before Dangerous, so going back to like 89, something like that, 1988, 89 maybe. And Dangerous began in the spring of 1990. At that point, he was brought in to work as one of the production teams, including Bill Bottrell and Bruce Swedien, later on Teddy Riley. But anyway, so he did a good solid, I'm trying to estimate what it would be, 6 to 8 months maybe closer to a year. He did that much work on Dangerous, and nothing came out that he worked on except for a song about Bart Simpson, which was not on Dangerous and really didn't have much to do with Michael Jackson. Anyway, you can watch my other video when I talk more in depth about Brian himself. Anyway, so what was discovered by this police officer in, a dusty box in a storage unit that he probably paid almost nothing for? Well, it was a list of songs that they had worked on prior to the beginning of the Dangerous sessions. So we call them pre-production demos, work that they were doing, tracks, jams, that kind of stuff, getting some ideas together before the official recording started in the studio that I worked at, Record One in Sherman Oaks. On Dangerous, there is a list right here of the songs, Michael Jackson, Brian Loren studio recordings. The songs include Don't Believe It, 7 Digits, Can't Come Back, one called The Son of Thriller, which I don't know anything about, Truth on Youth, She's Got It Baby, All the Truth You Need, Call It Off, Man in Black, Work That Body, a song called A Pretty Face Is, a song to Satisfy You, Pressure, and Serious Effect. There you go. Serious Effect was one that I remember hearing that they did a lot of work on. I've got to let my dog in. Hang on. Thanks. So anyway, Serious Effect was one of the tracks on one of the Dangerous bonus cuts discs that I just got a copy of. And, no, my iPad is trying to talk to me. All right, it's always something this morning. Anyway, so Serious Effect was one of the bonus tracks on this disc that I got of unreleased Michael Jackson songs that were in consideration for a 10th anniversary special edition of Dangerous that, of course, never came out. That would have been one of Brian's songs that finally did come out if Serious Effect came out. And I think Work That Body also was on that disc. Again, I made a separate video, and you can watch that about these unreleased Michael Jackson songs that were in consideration for the 10th release. And yeah, so it's a list of songs that they were working on in various, states of, completion. I mean, they're all demos, but anyway, some of them might have been more finished or polished up than others. Here is what the guy found. These are, if you don't know, DAT tapes, except for the one in the middle, which is a cassette. DAT tapes are digital cassette tapes, of course. Right there in the middle, that was that a Sony? That's an analog tape, of course, a normal cassette you put in your car. These are DAT tapes that they would go in a digital tape recorder. It was what was used all the time in the studio because, of course, it sounded a lot better than cassettes. It was digital. We were recording digital, so the music and, everything on it just sounded cleaner, clearer, was better copies. And these were all just for people's, use in their homes and listening and just, to audition these songs and that kind of thing. Of course, these are not masters or final versions or anything like that. There's from 889, Son of Thriller is right there. And let's see what else. Here is from 10 of 89, Work That Body, 3 songs in one, no idea. Pretty Face, Can't Come Back, and a song called Bubbles. Of course, Bubbles is Michael Jackson's Chimp. I Met AJ. That was another one of Michael's monkeys. That was pretty funny. AJ came to the studio once. All the Truth, Call It Off. So these are all songs from, 391. So that's pretty early. Sorry, that's pretty late. 391. Huh. So that's interesting because 391 would have been the second year of the Dangerous recording sessions. The Dangerous recording sessions started around 390. March 1990, April 1990, at least at the studio that I worked at. So that shows that he was still maybe working on stuff as late as a year after we started recording Dangerous. Possible. Here's what looks like a compilation of all the stuff that they were working on, different grooves, Work That Body, a song called Homeless, there's Bubbles, Pretty Face. So again, all songs that, for the most part, have never come out. This was the spines of the tapes. You can see what they are. So it looks like in all he found, about a dozen tapes. And again, unreleased music. You can't hear it. There's nothing he could do with it. It will go to auction and it will sell, but then unless someone leaks it out or whatever, which could happen, you're never really going to hear what was on these tapes. Did any of it come out? Well, eventually, Brian had a record in the early 90s, right after Dangerous was released, called Music from the New World. It's very hard to find. It may only be in Japan. I can't even find a used copy on eBay. And let's see, what else do we have here? There we go. There is the disc itself. And if you can see, it says, song number 13 is To Satisfy You. So that's one of the songs he worked on with Michael. Michael is singing kind of a co-lead vocal. They're background vocals, but they're very prominent in the song. And unfortunately, because Brian Loren at the time in 1992 was a guy who worked with Michael Jackson and didn't get any songs released, his record didn't really go anywhere either, even though it had Michael Jackson singing on it. When you think about songs like Someone's Watching Me by Rockwell or whatever, Berry Gordy's son, with Michael Jackson in the background. And of course, that was a huge song, partially, of course, because Michael Jackson is singing on it. But in this case, the song To Satisfy You that they had been working on as early as 1989 with Michael's vocals on it just didn't get any traction and didn't really get anywhere, unfortunately. And and other than that, Superfly Sister, which I believe is on the list here of things. Yep, number 7 here, Superfly Sister. That did finally come out on Blood on the Dance Floor. So Brian got a little bit of stuff released from all the efforts he put in here. And of course, he was paid to work with Michael, I'm sure. They had a contract and he was getting a salary, and he was getting that obviously in 1989 and in 1990 and maybe even into 1991 to some degree. Some of the dates on here, 9/15/89. Yeah, that makes sense. All the way through, 3/27/91. So anyway, in under 10 minutes, well, close enough. That's the story of these unreleased songs that were recently discovered. Again, can't release them can't do anything with them unless somebody leaks them out or whatever. They'll be sold and they'll sit in someone's, private collection or whatever. And that will probably be the end of it. But just interesting that, once again, Brian Loren, who is still around and is still working in the music business, doesn't have control and access to these recordings, and now he's lost them, because he didn't pay a storage locker fee, and some cop, in Los Angeles now owns these things, and he even said he's got them locked up, and they're, being looked over by his attorney. He doesn't even want to, take a chance to someone breaking in and stealing them or whatever. People are crazy, and people like me make videos about them and get people all excited about them, but they will sell at auction and someone will get some interesting tapes. It's interesting that they even play. Now, digital audio tapes will get corrupted, and if they're not stored correctly in the storage locker, they're going to get hot and they're going to get cold and they're going to go through many, many seasons. I mean, they're 35 years old at this point, but apparently the guy was able to listen to them and hear music. So who knows what will happen with them next? You can read the articles. They just all came out, and I've gone over 10 minutes, so see you later. Bye.